is amazing, and the science that's gone into this product is amazing, okay? So again, let's set the stage and talk about liver health. Your liver is the largest internal organ in our body, okay? And it's the largest organ in our body because literally everything that we eat or put in our body or that gets absorbed goes through the liver eventually, okay? Medications, alcohol, even the food we eat goes through our liver. It processes everything, okay? Everything. Every nutrient, every drug, every toxin, anything that goes in our bodies goes through our liver. It's that important. But not only is it our filter, but our liver also helps us digest our food, okay? Here's a case of helping to digest fats. But it's also a factory. Our liver makes a number of nutrients and other molecules our body needs, okay? They call that anabolic reactions. So things like amino acids, lipids, proteins, neurotransmitters, and the list goes on and on and on. Okay, so not only is it our filter, it helps us break our food down, and it also helps build essential molecules our bodies need. It's also a storage organ. Our liver has so many functions. It's a storage organ, especially for glycogen and fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A and vitamin D. It's important to protect your liver. But the main function that I think that we apply to our liver is detoxification. Okay? Detoxification. So let's talk about detoxification for a second. Detoxification is defined as the removal of a harmful substance. So our liver will either remove directly a toxic compound from the bloodstream and get rid of it, or it will metabolize it and make it less toxic so that our body can deal with it. Very complex biochemistry is happening here, okay? What is so interesting about our detoxification in our liver, and actually in a number of cells, but specifically in our liver, is it is inherent, it is ingrained in our DNA and our genes, right? It's in our DNA, these detoxification pathways. And what's so interesting is these pathways can actually be turned on or turned off. It's amazing. Our bodies can sense when we've been exposed to a toxin or other foreign substance. It's very, very complicated, but I hope I have a simple cartoon up here, okay? So if a toxin enters the cell, so the screen is going to be like the cell. If a toxin enters the cell, we have a whole bunch of proteins that can actually sense and detect when a toxin has entered the cell. In this case, I just called it protein A to keep it simple. But look what happens. You start this chain of events that occurs. Protein A then tells protein B, hey, there's a toxin that entered the cell. Protein B then tells protein C, which then goes into the nucleus, flips on those switches, right? Turns on those genes. Those genes get made into proteins that then work back on that toxin to detoxify it. It's amazing. It's inherent in our DNA, these pathways. It works amazing most of the time, but there are two problems. One is there's a time delay. When that toxin enters the cell, it's not instantaneous that those pathways get turned on. The other thing that can happen for a number of reasons is you can actually lose that detoxification response. Right? But I'm going to have you put your scientific hats on. One way you can lose that response is through the normal aging process. So if I wanted to show you experimentally what it looks like when you lose that response with age, what would be an experiment you could do? Is there anything you could dream up? What if I took some young cells, put them in a test tube, and what if I took some old cells and put them in a test tube, and then expose them to increasing doses of a toxin and just see who survives and who dies? Right? That'd be a fair experiment, right? Well, this is exactly an experiment that we did in the laboratory. We were trying to understand why we lose the response with age. So what you can see is at the top, that black line are young cells. The blue line are old cells. And you can see when we hit them with the first dose of that toxin, it doesn't affect the young cells whatsoever. 100% of those young cells live. Whereas we've killed about 25% of those old cells. And you can see what happens as we increase the dose. And when we do some scientific calculations, we can determine that those old cells are twice as susceptible to the same toxin at the same dose than those young cells are, okay? We've lost the response with age, okay? But what if there was a trick to keep those pathways, those detoxification pathways turned on? Well, look what science has shown us. Science has shown us that we can use certain nutrients to kind of trick our body's detoxification pathways to turn them on without the toxic effects. So these nutrients will trick protein A to tell protein B to tell protein C to turn on those anti-stress or detoxification proteins, but since they don't have to work on a toxin, they're just kind of swimming around the cell waiting for a toxin to enter it, and they can jump on it really, really quick. So I hope that makes sense to everybody, okay? Now, if we go back to my little experiment, and by the way, this is a real published experiment. If I go back to my experiment and we wanted to test whether or not a nutrient could actually turn on these pathways, what would we do? What would we do? What if we incubated our old cells for, let's say, a couple of hours with a nutrient that we know turns on these detoxification pathways? Right? And that's exactly what we did. And we looked at a compound I talked about yesterday, lipoic acid. We incubated these old cells with lipoic acid for a period of time, and we exposed them to the same doses of toxin. And guess what we were able to do? We were literally able to make old cells young again. Isn't that amazing? We were able to make those old cells able to detoxify that same toxin. That's amazing. So, what if there were a product that could actually turn on those detoxification pathways? Well, that's why HEPA Plus is so cool. That is exactly what the compounds in HEPA Plus are designed to do, and that's turn on those detoxification pathways. So here, I'm just going to quickly run through the ingredients, give you a couple of key takeaways, and then hopefully now you'll feel a little bit more comfortable to talk about why HEPA Plus is such a powerful product. Biotin, right? Again, building on that foundational nutrition of the essentials, we put a little bit additional biotin to help support our liver's metabolic pathways. Because if it can't support the metabolism of making those detoxification proteins, it's not going to work, okay? So HEPA Plus, a little bit extra biotin in there. Choline, it's amazing, amazing compound, right? It can help support those detoxification reactions, but it also helps our bodies get rid of fat. So we know we can accumulate fat in our liver. Well, choline helps the liver clear that fat. And then it works as an important precursor, again, to help with that metabolism of fat. Milk thistle, for me, it's just a horrible weed in my garden, but some great benefits when we look at these detoxification pathways. And the active ingredient in milk thistle is called silymarin, and this has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for thousands of years, and we've leveraged that old knowledge with modern science, putting milk thistle into HEPA Plus. Works as a powerful, powerful antioxidant, but guess what? It's turning on those detoxification pathways. So much research that also shows that if you're a heavy drinker, taking drugs, otherwise exposed to toxins, milk thistle can help with those detoxification reactions. Another kind of weird, obscure compound that's in HEPA Plus, N-acetylcysteine, we just abbreviate it as NAC, works actually to turn on these detoxification pathways. And in fact, if somebody overdoses on acetaminophen, the first thing they'll do is give them a big dose of N-acetylcysteine. And the reason they do that is because N-acetylcysteine is the precursor to one of our body's most potent detoxification molecules and antioxidants known as glutathione. So by providing NAC, we can actually induce our bodies to make more glutathione and protect our livers. Lipoic acid, the most potent antioxidant we can get from our diet, working as an antioxidant, and guess what else it's doing? Turning on detoxification pathways. Right? So can you kind of see a theme here about what's going on with the ingredients in HEPA Plus, right? Antioxidants and turning on detoxification pathways. The same thing goes for broccoli. We hate to eat broccoli and cauliflower for the most part because of that kind of sour, bitter taste. But that sour, bitter taste, those molecules are the things that are turning on detoxification pathways and working as antioxidants. And lastly, I should say second to last, we have green tea. Again, antioxidants and turning on detoxification pathways. Okay? And olive oil. Again, right? Such great research with this water-soluble, patented extract from olives. Okay? Again, working as an antioxidant and also turning on these detoxification pathways. Okay? Turmeric, we talked about some of that already, right? Good for the joint health, good for that joint discomfort, but again, working as an antioxidant and turning on detoxification pathways. I sound like a broken record up here, don't I? So, if someone asks you what HEPA Plus is, this is the simple sentence I want you to tell them. HEPA Plus is a proprietary antioxidant formula that's designed to support our body's own natural detoxification pathways. So, with that, I would just like to say thank you for your time. Thank you for sticking